What Games Workshop removed from the codex about Plaguebearers is far darker than you think. You see, older editions once described a ritualistic, soul-shredding metamorphosis that modern books conveniently sanitize into a cartoonish, poof, you're a demon now. Tonight, we're going to exhume those deleted pages, dust them off, and follow one poor victim, beat by beat, through the infection, the metaphysical unraveling, and the final horrifying headcount that locks them into Nurgle's rotting ledger forever. Here is what they really don't tell you. Nurgle's rot isn't just some common pathogen. It's a warp-born alchemical curse, an insidious corruption that doesn't just attack flesh, but liquefies reality itself around the afflicted. The moment it takes hold, the very air around you thickens, as if gravity suddenly doubled its oppressive weight. Lanterns don't just dim, they sputter into greasy, green flames that somehow burn cold, casting sickly shadows. Victims unknowingly inhale microscopic spores, each one laced with psychic barbs, tiny, insidious hooks that don't just carry disease, but actively drag terror and despair back to Nurgle's garden in real time, like a psychic fishing line. Stage 1 is always a dream. Medicae, bless their ignorant hearts, call them disease dreams. You sleep, you writhe, and in your mind's eye, you watch your own skin slough off in ribbons. You feel phantom maggots waltz across exposed muscle, a sensation so vivid it makes you gag. And every morning, you wake up sticky with real pus, a putrid discharge that absolutely wasn't there the night before. These dreams aren't some side effect. They're the main course. Each nightmare, each sickening vision, erodes the soul's anchor to the body, meticulously preparing a vacant berth for something ancient, something unspeakably vile. Official Imperial sources, ever so reassuring, simply shrug and call it bad flu. But the Dark Heresy Core Rulebook, 2008 edition, quantified 5 escalating tiers of emotional decay that precede the physical: dread, shame, bargaining, collapse, and finally, surrender. Reach surrender, and the rot no longer merely eats flesh. It begins to rewrite the very laws of probability around you. Your trusty lasgun? It jams 9 times straight. Your respirator filter? It implodes the instant you replace it. This isn't just bad luck. It's the warp bending to Nurgle's will, isolating you, making you ripe for the harvest. And still, this infection, this creeping, reality-warping malady, is only the herald of what they truly don't want you to know. Death arrives, bloated and swollen with flies, but the corpse is merely the chrysalis, the temporary shell. It's here that the older codices, the 2nd edition, Realms of Chaos, the 3rd edition, Demon Hunters, truly outline the horror, describing 5 explicit, agonizing stages after clinical death. What the 2nd edition Realms of Chaos called the 5 metamorphic stations. First, the corpse bloat. The abdomen ruptures, intestines balloon out like grotesque party streamers, and the hydrogen sulfide stench attracts plague flies that arrive in perfect, unnatural spirals, as though guided by some invisible, infernal traffic control. Second, color inversion. The very chemistry of the body shifts. Blood blackens to a sickly chartreuse, marrow glows with a dull internal orange, and the sclera, the whites of the eyes, turn the color of drowned autumn leaves, a sign of the unnatural processes within. Third, Symphonic putrefaction. Gases whistle through perforated trachea, producing 3-note dirges, an unsettling, cacophonous sound that's eerily recognizable as infant laughter played backwards. It's a macabre symphony of decay, a song of sorrow and twisted birth. Fourth, horn eruption. A single jaundiced yellow tusk punches through the frontal bone, cracking through the skull like a nascent, malevolent sprout. It curls like a Necronus serpent, and this horn isn't just for show. It channels warp math, registering every single bacterium, every spore, every contagion it will later seed into the galaxy. It's an antenna for Nurgle's grand design. And finally, soul evacuation. The last heartbeat. Except it isn't a heartbeat at all. It's a metaphysical snap, a violent wrenching. Consciousness evacuates the skull, not in a gentle drift, but by sliding through 14 simultaneous, impossible angles of perception. A cosmic funneling that drags the essence of the being into the garden where Grandfather Nurgle waits with open, weeping sores and grotesquely open arms. Pause here. Look at your screen. That 5-stage process I just described? Modern codexes compress it into a single sentence. The victim transforms into a Plaguebearer. One sentence. They deleted 847 words of metamorphic horror and replaced it with corporate sanitization. Why? Because those passages imply Nurgle's personal attendance. They suggest the god himself kneels, caresses the liquefying face, and whispers the very first number the soon-to-be Plaguebearer will ever count. 1. It's a direct, intimate act of corruption, too visceral, too personal for the sanitized lore. They also deleted references to resistant hosts, mortals whose sheer willpower or spiritual fortitude forced Nurgle to invest extra, agonizing effort. These rare specimens, you see, birth stronger, more potent demons, larger horns, deeper tallies, a more profound connection to the garden. It hints at a hidden evolutionary ladder within chaos, a hierarchy of suffering that GamesWorkshop, in its corporate wisdom, prefers to keep vague. Corporate policy dictates, never quantify how high you can climb inside chaos, lest you make villainy too appealing. But once the soul is unmade, the body follows its new, grotesque purpose. Tendons rebraid into intestinal rope, thick and glistening. Fingers fuse, knuckles cracking like wet wood, until hands become leathery, malformed scoops, perfect for shoveling infected soil or diseased entrails. The single, baleful eye that opens in the new forehead doesn't see light as we know it. No, it sees entropy gradients, heat loss, cellular exhaustion, the probability of gangrene, the impending decay of all things. You are reborn a walking, sentient medical sensor, whose only twisted joy is fresh data for the tally. And yet, none of this physical and spiritual agony compares to the psychological vice that comes next. A Plaguebearer wakes, not with a roar or a gasp, but already murmuring. The first number it utters is always its own age in seconds. For a mortal who lived 40 years, that's 1,261,440,000. After that, everything must be counted. Every flywing, every heartbeat of a terrified civilian, every unique cough inside a besieged bunker. The chant is low, relentless, monotonic, Nurgle's muzak, an eternal, maddening drone that never, ever stops. On the battlefield, this manifests as pure tactical nightmare. Picture this. A Plaguebearer strides through a hab block, its single eye scanning, its finger jabbing at each door.
12, 13, 14.
The voice is low, guttural, relentless. Civilians barricade themselves inside, their hearts hammering in rhythm to the approaching count. When the demon finally breaches the door, it doesn't immediately attack. It stands there, tallying. The victim's age, their breaths per minute, the exact number of sweat droplets on their forehead. Only then does the blade fall, and the death rattle, that final, desperate gasp, gets transcribed into the eternal chant, a sound simultaneously infantile and ancient, like a lullaby sung by something 1,000,000 years old. Now here's where it gets truly disturbing. Forbidden margin notes in the 2nd edition Realms of Chaos Nurgle's Rot supplement. Annotations that Black Library editors physically redacted with black ink in later printings describe a metaphysical ledger called the Tally Primordial. The original High Gothic name, Numerus Omnium Mortuorum, the count of all dead things. Here's the conspiracy. When the cumulative sum across every Plaguebearer, across every demon in Nurgle's legions, Across every dimension where the Grandfather's influence spreads, matches the calculated entropic heat-death value of the galaxy, a number requiring 10 to the 89th power digits to express. Reality itself locks into permanent stasis. Nothing left to rot because everything already is rot. Maximum entropy achieved. The universe frozen in perfect, eternal decay. Games Workshop surgically removed this passage from all modern codexes. Why? Because it implies chaos has an actual, achievable win condition. It gives the forces of despair a mathematical endgame, and that's far too hopeful for the villains. And the numbers can never decrease. Try to trick a Plaguebearer with overlapping explosions that obliterate bodies and evidence. It will stand amid the ashes, its horn dripping soot, and simply recount the carbonized chunks it can still smell, the lingering psychic residue of death. The demon is happy either way. More debris, more destruction, more suffering. It all equals more digits for the tally. Its purpose is fulfilled, its twisted joy complete. So there it is. The sanitized truth Games Workshop sells you. Those goofy, cartoonish plague zombies with bells and silly grins completely misses the existential meat grinder underneath. It hides the soul screaming so loud the warp itself records the frequency. The god who answers prayers by deleting the petitioner and installing his own malware in the vacant shell. And an afterlife spent in eternal, joyful, maddening arithmetic, counting down to the universe's heat death, one number at a time. The next time you flip through a modern codex and chuckle at those jolly fat demons, remember what they removed. Remember the 5 metamorphic stages. Remember the tally primordial. Remember the Medicae who believed he could save his planet, only to find Nurgle's embrace waiting in the fever dream. Remember that in the grim darkness of the far future, hope itself is classified information, because if the Imperium admitted how easily faith converts to despair, how quickly prayers become plagues, the entire propaganda engine would seize like a rusted bolt, plunging humanity into immediate, galaxy-wide nihilism. And that's exactly why Games Workshop deleted 847 words of metamorphic horror and replaced it with one sanitized sentence. So here's my question for you. Which deleted horror should we exhume next? Drop your vote in the comments. The Sanguinor's true identity? The Tyrannid Pharaoh's device conspiracy? Or the real reason the Emperor banned certain Mechanicus research? If the tally of your curiosity just incremented, hit that like button. Subscribe for weekly Forbidden Lore every Friday. And I'll see you in the next expedition, assuming, of course, the numbers allow it. Thanks for watching.
The Council approves this video. Subscribe now!